Hi there, my name is Lee and I'm Britta's husband, and Britta asked me to sit in for her for these next few days to offer you practice that's very near and dear to my heart for our daily grace practice. And so I'm very excited to be here and share something that's very personal to me that I've found very inspiring over the years, and that's the Examen Prayer of Ignatius of Loyola. So that's what we're going to be doing this week, and I'm going to share the steps with you one or two at a time, and we'll do a simplified version. And this is and over the course of several days we'll build it together. But each one of these steps is very, very rich. So even today, just the first step that we're going to get into is a very, very rich way to open to grace. And that's really what this is about. Let me say a quick word about Ignatius of Loyola. I could talk for hours about Ignatius, and that's something for another time. But one thing you should know about Ignatius is that for him, his connection to grace was very, very personal. And the word God was quite resonant for Ignatius. And for him, this prayer in his life was a way of seeing grace in everything. And that's what this prayer is about, seeing God's grace, God's presence as everything. In fact, for Ignatius, you might say all of life was kind of a love song being sung to him. Right? In that great mystic tradition of Rumi or Teresa of Avila, it's God speaking and loving him. And he saw that everywhere, all of creation and all the comings and goings of the day and all the challenges and the graces and the gifts and all of it. So this is really an invitation to open our minds and our mindset and our vision to, from Ignatius's perspective, the deeper truth of what life is about. So one thing we can take from that is this personal notion. So I may use the word God, and you can trade that out any way you like. But one thing you can take from Ignatius when we say the word God is it was very personal. It wasn't just a cosmic energy. It was being loved by a grandmother or a dear father or a dear friend or even a pet. So perhaps you want to borrow this week something that Britta introduced recently, maybe last week or so, which was the idea of the compassionate image, which is something we use in the compassion cultivation training, the compassionate image. Maybe there's an image for you that's so loving and so deep, and letting yourself be loved by that you can tap into that as your source of grace or God. So you can play with that this week. So for now, just two steps. There's a pre-step to the Examen Prayer. And that pre-step is to just simply remind us that we are in the presence of grace. We are in the presence of God. That's the first step. And the second step is to call to mind and heart the gratitudes of the past 24 hours, or any gratitudes that come to your heart. So that's what we'll do today, okay? So just finding a moment to close your eyes, or a position that feels good in your body, a straight spine, and if it feels good, closing your eyes. Taking a few deep breaths. And just turning your attention, your awareness, to the presence of grace. Simply reminding yourself that you are forever and always in God's presence. Or as we will say during the course of these daily grace videos, in the presence of grace. And perhaps you want to call to mind and heart that compassionate image, or that image of grace that is your gateway to that acknowledgement in your body and your mind and your heart that you were so deeply loved. For me, the image I've often used is of my grandmother. Such a clean, deep, uncomplicated sense of being loved. So what is it for you that you can rest in for a moment in this pre-step? This pre-step to the Examen, reminding myself that I am forever and always in the presence of grace. And whatever that is for you, just breathe into it, sit into it, settle into it. Perhaps deepening your breath even further. And in the spirit of Ignatius, we could just, if that fills you up, you just pause the video, you stop, and you stay there. Ignatius, being the mystic that he was, would say, "If I feel the overwhelming presence of grace, I need go no further into the examen." But we will now build on that foundation, go to the first real step of the examen, and that's welcoming the gratitudes of the day. So keeping your eyes closed if that still feels good for you, and turning towards these gratitudes. What are you grateful for? And in a daily way, we would look back over the last 24 hours and see there's so many blessings from my very existence. When I slow down, when I pause, maybe there was just a realization that I'm here, or that someone loves me, or maybe there was a kind word spoken to you earlier today. Maybe you got a phone call that touched your heart. Or maybe you, just like me, sometimes you look at the trees and you feel an overwhelming sense of being loved by grace. So taking a moment to sift through, to let these come, these graces, these gratitudes, and just hold them in your heart and your mind. Breathe into them. Let them move you, let them touch you. And just letting those reverberate with you today. And we're going to pause here, we're going to stop and conclude our examen, but know that you can sit with those graces silently longer, or just bring that eye of gratitude with you into your day, and let gratitude be a part of your day today.